Hey now, how is everybody doing? Welcome to Red Alert Diaries with Tanya E. Hood. I'm glad to get the chance to see you, and I'm wondering, are you confident that you are on the right path to your breakthrough and that you can trust the people that are around you to help you get that done? Well, if you do not know, I have a special guest that will be joining us. Hey, everybody. So today I have a special guest. I was talking about Mr. Eric Asbeck. Hi, Eric. How you doing?
I'm very good, Tanya. It's you. I love your energy. I bet
Thank
your
you.
audience does too. How
I
can you
try.
not be drawn to that?
I appreciate it. And you know what? They need to know a little bit more about you so that they can understand why you're here today. For those of you that have not yet met Eric, he is a resilient entrepreneur who helps coaches, speakers, authors, and program leaders build businesses that align with their passions and values. With a background in engineering and business, he creates strategies to overcome challenges and thrive in competitive markets. Eric, thank you so much for being here. Is there anything else you'd like to share with yourself to our audience?
You covered that was a great introduction. Thank you. Like the core thing is, do you want to build a business aligned with your passion? And if you do, that's where I can come into play. I'm systematic in terms of my engineering background. I'm also creative and have a business mind for various things I've done both in the business world and as an entrepreneur. But beyond that, I've had plenty of my own challenges. I went through a difficult divorce. I've been living with an incurable cancer for the last 18 years, and I'm still here. And so I know how to deal with challenges and how to move beyond those and navigate obstacles. The trick is to just really get grounded in where you are and keep learning and be adaptable. And if you know where you want to go, then you can keep making choices to move you toward that. The clearer you are about it, the better. And I'll tell you, there will be things will not go your way. They just don't. And so what do? Fold up shop, or do you reset and then figure out where it is that you're going and figure out a step that's going to move you in that direction? You want to turn those frustrations into learning opportunities and progress. And so if you know where your heart lies and what your life purpose is and where you want to be taking things and who you want to work for and what you want to help them with, you're going to be able to create a meaningful and successful business that truly reflects who you are. And in the end, that's the most important thing about creating a sustainable business, that it's something that works within you so that all your integrity is lined up.
Well, I thank you for those thoughts. And I am so glad that you are here sharing your story. I'm glad that you are the cancer survivor, still dealing with things I understand. But in hearing what you're saying, you've gone through some things about resetting. Tell us a little bit more about how you reset.
I've had to reset a number of times. When I got divorced, it was, who am I now? I was in the wrong place at the wrong time during the market crash of 2008, and euphemistically was reorganized out of my job role. And I had to ask myself again, who am I? Because my identity was really wrapped up with my corporate roles and the company that I worked for, which I loved, which is Cisco Systems. But all of a sudden, it's like, who am I now? What I used to ground my identity had shifted under my feet, and being diagnosed with an incurable cancer just turned my world upside down. And I was in dire straits. There's a longer story with that, but the uncertainty was overwhelming. And, I wondered, how long I was going to live, whether I was going to ever stand again because I had a tumor in my spine, would I live to see my sons graduate college and get married and have children, like my whole future felt like it was slipping away. And so there's a lot of resets that I've had to face. And what I've done as part of that is, first of all, wherever you are, you need to accept the reality of where you are. It doesn't mean that you have to acquiesce to it, but you just need to be honest with yourself about, this is my starting point. Just ask yourself, what's a step I can take that's going to move me in the general direction of that? And once you do that, then you repeat the process. Like, okay, where am I now? How do I take the next step? There's not like some master plan or like planned strategy of, oh, I'm going to go here, 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 and everything's going to be great. You have to take a step and see where you are and adapt as you go, keeping mindful of where you want to end up. I have a system of putting tasks somewhere in a task management system so that they're out of my brain, and I know it. I don't have to be having my mindset, my thoughts, trying to keep reviewing all the things I need to do. It's like, that's handled. It's out there and in a place that I can find them anytime, and I can set priorities. And that declutters your whole consciousness in the same way that I undertake a presence meditation practice, which is a combination of being present to my breath, doing a kind of a general body scan, and also what I've come to call a focus meditation, where I'm present to my breath, I'm present to like the palm of my hand, and then something 15 feet away, and then the horizon, and then kind of having a sense of where I stand as a speck in the universe, just to give myself a sense of perspective. That's proven to be a very powerful thing, both in terms of being present and also in terms of the ability to shift your focus from one thing to another as need be. You got to take time to take care of yourself, make sure you get enough sleep, and eat well, and exercise, and have social and a good social environment, and those sort of things. I made a point of finding good mentors and joining supportive communities like mastermind groups. And from a social point of view, I belonged to a men's group as I went through my divorce, and so forth and so on. Just having that awareness that, okay, something is off. And then using all those things we just talked about and going, okay, great. So here's where I am. What step is going to move me toward where I want to go?
So that is a lot that you've shared, and I want to thank you so much for sharing. And as an electrical engineer myself, there was a time in the aftermath of my divorce, I was going to go work for Cisco Systems. That was the first job that I had applied. I had done what I needed to do, but then I found out what occurred in my world, and it was crumbling. I'm like, I don't know where my life is right now. So I had to pause. They were kind enough to give me a 6-month grace period to say yes to the offer that I will really be clear about saying yes to the offer that I had already agreed to.
Right. I understand.
But I was like, if my world is going to fall apart now, I need to really pause. And it's in the pausing that you were sharing with the meditation. That is an element that a lot of us don't pay enough attention to, especially for those of us that are developers. When you are a natural, logical, analytical mind like we are, it's one of those things like, I can figure it out because you've always been called to figure it out. So you want to do that.
Or that's a survival tactic for you.
Exactly. But here's the thing that you have learned, that I have learned, and a lot of those that are listening to us are learning. When you are going through emotional turmoil in your life, your natural, logical, analytical brain will not support you. There's time for you to start taking action. It's time for you to start doing a different way of resetting. Let's talk a little bit about that because you went through sharing, and I thank you for those steps. Meditating is one thing, but those were actions that you took to revamp your existence to get you to a better position. It's a little sad to say, but it's also good to know you're here for your sons. You took an action to think, be intentional about what do I need to do to ensure that I'm here for my family with all the things that's happening, having the ground underneath you sort of shake you up. You made some decisions to be action oriented. Share with our audience, for those that, like you and I, that often don't pay attention to the fact that inside of their being, like I typically have shared with you all, you've had everything you needed from the very beginning. We are heart centered, we are action oriented, and we are developers. How do developers pull up their action oriented element to move themselves in a better direction? Can you share a little more?
Fortunately, I had a lot of different support structures in place because my ex had been going through some things. She started some psychological counseling, and after a while, she suggested I do that, and it actually turned out to be a really important thing because I had a tendency to partition the intellectual and the emotional stuff and not really connect into what was going on with my heart. And we did a lot of work on that. So that was an important thing. Another factor is that um, as I was going through that process, I was very fortunate in that my work colleagues, all the way up through my director, were very empathetic to the situation. And, I still did my work, but it was a matter of there's nothing like a supportive community. That was the same when I was going through cancer, connecting with patient groups and finding, learning everything I could, but that supportive community as well as relentless learning, which is the other factor, um, were real keys in both cases.
We don't pay enough attention that it's in community that we build and that we grow. We forget that. And the thing that I am loving that you are here, because as a developer, when we are working through our logical elements, it's easy for us to compartmentalize things because we have the tendency to analyze data points. It's in the data points that we're taking a look at that helps us be a little more comfortable with how we'll be structured so we can see a path to our next element of getting healed and whole, if that's what we're thinking. But we forget as developers that we have to bring our heart centered souls in the midst of that. Let's talk a little bit about action because it was the action that you took of going to learn more. We don't pay enough attention that we can reach outside of ourselves, do some of those different groups, hear some other people's perspectives about how they're walking through that journey to tap into our heart. And it is okay. It is truly okay to bring your personal self into your professional environment because we forget that we do it anyway. But if we're more conscious of
Yeah,
how we're doing it, that is where our superpower lies. That is
right.
where we can make the changes that we need. So thank you for that, Eric.
Regardless of your personality type, um, you've got some go to survival strategies that you rely on. If you're logical, then you start to think in terms of facts and sequences and checklists and action steps. If you're, I know people that are on highly on the heart centered side, and so they go to creative and intuition and those sort of things. There's go to strategies that you're going to fall back on when everything's going down the tubes, and uh, they've helped you survive in the past. So that's not to say they're bad, but exploring other worlds of avenue that you could pursue, and that's the same, for business. It's like I had, it's easy to have a go-to strategy. Like a safety thing would be like, okay, if I keep developing new courses and plans and things like that and just get it perfect, then then when I'm ready to launch, it'll go. I found that that's not the case. So I've learned to develop programs and courses by going out and doing market research and actually talking to real human beings that about what their challenges are and their aspirations and their learning styles and those sort of things, and then dynamically putting together a course over, like, allowing it to build. I know where I'm going, but like really refining what I'm going to say in each class along the way, which is scary as hell. But it's incredibly powerful because the people that are in your class, especially when you come up with a beta program and they know that you're going to do your best for them, they'll tell you what they need. And so you can adjust and change. Focus on learning and being adaptable and allowing things to evolve while also bringing to bear all those effective mechanisms like task lists and things like that, and having an idea of milestones and directions. But it's a balance. There's not one perfect way to get things done. It's like this whole. It's very. You have to give yourself the grace of being fluid and have the confidence that you have everything within you to take the next step. You just need to give yourself permission to take a chill pill and just trust that it is going to work out.
That is so true. And I'm so glad that you shared that because that's what I often share with my clients. You had everything that you need from the very beginning. Now, yes, had is my framework that I typically teach from as a reminder that we have elements that we don't often draw in because I go to, like you were talking about, yeah, people go to those things when they find themselves in conflict. And I call that the conflict sequence. If you know your conflict sequence, you can be better equipped about what other things that you can do and pull on those other strengths. So the developer can pull up their heart centered elements and be okay while they're taking action to get to their breakthrough. And that leads us to the conversation that we are having people join today, having a confidence to know that where you're going, that you're on the right path. You help entrepreneurs create a meaningful and successful businesses that reflect who they are. So I know you teach them how to pull on these strengths. You want to share a little more information about that?
I have a system that I have put together and also worked closely with my mentor and to develop, which is I call it the Purpose Impact Thrive system. And basically, it starts with really understanding yourself internally, like what are your values, what's your life purpose, what is it you want to create, not just for work, for business, but your whole life. And what do you want that to, what would you aspire to have that be in the future? And once you're really, if you need to honor yourself enough to give yourself the time to get grounded in that way, because then you can start to say, okay, if I'm starting a business, for example, like I work with folks that want to build a business aligned with their passion, then you start to ask yourself, great, so what kind of people do I want to work with? Who do I really love being with and want to serve and that I'm called to help? And what kind of topic do I find is the thing that I know that I can bring something to bear, and I'd really like to help them work with that. And when you know that, then you can start going out and finding those people and having conversations with them, real, honest conversations, like what are your challenges and fears and frustrations? What are your aspirations, and how do you learn best, and those sort of things, which I'd mentioned before. But with that, then you can start to see where your fit is with the people you want to serve around that topic area in a way that you can put together courses and programs that resonate with them and that work on your side. And when you know that, then you can start to put together a package of your expertise. And if you know what those actual, like the way that they talk about what's going on with them, if you can start to help you to use those sort of phrases in conveying your offer, then the people that are the right fit for you are going to start to resonate. And the thing is, then you need to just make a straightforward offer. It's not like a matter of convincing them, but just saying, here's a program put together. Here's here's the steps. Here's what you are going to achieve. Here's the price. Would you like to participate with me? Because bottom line, if you have a business, you need to make money. You need to make a profit. And you find out real fast if people are just saying, oh, that's a great idea, versus yeah, I am willing to commit to my own growth and development by working with you to achieve the outcomes that you're promising. Uh, and you find out over the course of time what fits and doesn't fit, and how to tune your offer and the way you communicate it, and so forth, so that, and you need to give it a long enough period of time that you dial that in, and not start getting distracted by other things, or saying, oh, well, I asked 3 people and it didn't really take, so I'm going to jump to this other thing. Stay the course and work through things and deal with that internal struggle as much as it is with what you're doing, what happens externally. And when you get that dialed in, then you can start thinking about how to ramp things up, and you can communicate your value, and update all your when you talk with people, you're going to know what to say on your website. You're going to know what to say in your social media. You know what to say in the emails you use to nurture and nudge people, and when you talk face to face. So it really is a matter of just building things from the ground up systematically, not getting ahead of your headlights. And it may not come as fast as you want, but it's better to have a solid foundation and to think in advance about how that would scale. And that way you move systematically.
And that is such great insight. So, you all have heard one of the strategies that will help you know that you are confident and on the right path, that you can do the thing that you're desiring. Finding a person that will support you. And Eric just shared that his goal is to help you be a super focused entrepreneur, which is also his business. And in doing so, you have the team that you need, the support that you desire to get you where you need to be. Now, Eric, you talked about that gift. Let's talk a little bit more about the gift that you have for my audience today.
My gift is an ebook, Unlock Market Success. And it's around innovative. You can create innovative webinars, motivating offers, and inspiring content that are going to spark your success. And so it's just a practical guide. It takes you through. Let's start with doing that introspection, and then do the market research. And then when you've done the market research, how can you apply it to creating your system and your offer, and your webinar and your social media and your nurture emails and all that sort of thing. It just connects the dots for you.
So thank you so much for that, Eric. And for those of you, you see the information that is available to you located at the bottom of the screen. So I will make certain that at the end of this discussion, you'll also have it in the comments section below. Thank you, Eric, so much for giving us that information. And we have to start wrapping this up. Is there one last thought that you have for the audience today? He looked at me like I was crazy, but I knew what I had to do. It was time for him to go. So I packed up his things. Red alert. Is he the one? The pocket guide, the find and love of your life, tells my story. The free chapter is available for you in the link below.
The key is to what I say, don't get ahead of your headlights. I worked, one of my early clients had been successful in a business, but he was miserable because he wasn't honoring some of the other things that were important in his life. And he realized that he had to honor his whole life and all those things. So he got back on track, and he was building a business. And he the thing that he wanted to do on the side is he loves acting in musical theater, and he also loves his wife. And he realized that if he neglected those things, if he didn't give himself time to audition and do things in his acting, and if he didn't give time on the weekends to be with his wife when he wasn't in rehearsal, everything else was going to fall apart. That was just how he was built. And it's funny because he started to get on track, and he found a business that was working for him. And I talked to him a little bit down the line, like 6 months after we'd had the initial conversations. And he said, I realized if I just put the acting aside for 6 or 12 months, I can make this thing really go. And then he said, then I heard your voice inside my head. And it's like, well, how'd that work out with you before? So he stepped back and he just kept it within his headlights and let things grow organically. And he's doing great. They're doing great. They actually are now doing a business together. But it's like just take a breath, take the next step, and don't try to jump too far ahead and solve problems you don't have and that sort of thing. Just deal with the step that you need to take right now.
So, for those of you that are listening to this, if anything that we have shared has resonated with you, then you need to make certain that you connect. I want you to go to Eric's website. You see it strolling at the bottom below, superfocusentrepreneur.com. There you can get greater insight about what he can do to help you get to your next position. Eric, thank you so much for being here and pouring into my audience what you are doing and empowering entrepreneurs to move to the next level so that they can get to their breakthrough is awesome. And I am so glad that we get the chance to have you share such great insight and gifts with the audience today.
You bet. And I'll just add, by the way, if you go to that website but add secrets to the end, that will take you right to my ebook.
Mm. So you've heard that information. Make certain that you go and you click the information that's listed. Superfocusentrepreneur.com. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Tanya.
And so for today, if you don't remember anything else we shared with you today, here's the one thing we want you to know. Make certain that you pull up the strength that's needed so that you are confident in where you need to be and how you need to function moving forward in the future. You heard what Eric has already shared with you. Make certain that you start to apply it. If you want someone to join you on the journey, feel free to go to Eric's website, and I can also support you in other elements as well. You can go to tanyaehood.com and see the various ways that I can work with you. And make sure that you like, comment, and share. In the meantime, this is Tanya E. Hood walking in my purpose, and I want you to do the same.